Hello friends, welcome to our channel. In this video, we are going to look at today's daily challenge problem 2342. Maximum sum of a pair with equal sum of digits. In this video, the overall principle will be using dictionary to solve this problem, but we are going to go deeper step by step. First, we are going to use sort, and then we are going to use heap. And later, we're not going to use sort. We just need to use some comparisons. And also, in between, we are going to get the digits sum for a given integer. For this, we also have two ways. One way is using some while loop, and the other way is by way of string. Let me demonstrate this in this video. So here, basically, we are given a integer array and positive integers called nums, and we can choose two indices I, j such that they are different, and the sum of digits of the numbers nums i and nums j are equal. So we want to return the maximum value of the sum of the two numbers if they satisfy the equal digit sum conditions. So here, if you look at the constraints, so this problem size can be very large, for example, up to 10 to the power 5. So in other words, you need to think of term complexity. And if you look at example 1, so you can see the two indices 0 and 2, right? So both the numbers here have digital sum equals to none. And then 1, 4, also they have the sum, for example, 1 and 4. And then the digital sum will be 7. And then if you sum these two, you get 50, right? If you sum the first one and the second one, you get 54. So 54 is larger, so we return 54. For the example 2, the first number has digit sum 1, second 3, third 10, and last 5. All of them are different, so we return -1. So with that said, basically we can use dictionary. So the key will be the digit sum, and the value you can use a list or you can use a heap. So will be the numbers corresponding to the digit sum. With that said, I guess the problem logic should be very straightforward. Then the thing is how to implement that. So I'm going to use I'm giving three formats of solutions. The first is I'm going to use sort, because this is very straightforward. The second one, I'm going to use heap. The third one, just a comparison, no heaps. And in between, so two ways to get digits sum. So one is, by way of string. The second is just a while loop. Both are very simple, but if you do combinations, so 3 times 2, you have 6 different formats of solutions. So now let's carry out this program. First, I'm going to initialize a dictionary. So collections default dict. So here I'm going to use list. And then I'm going to iterate over the numbers for y in nums. So first, let's get the digit sum. So get digits sum. So here we can do like this. So digits sum. So what we can do is this. First, we convert this number to a string, and then we use list comprehension. So for example, if we put it in the string, so we are going to do the integer y for not y, let's see, character for character in string of this y, right? So this way you can get the digits, right? So and then what do we do? So because we default this to be an empty list, so we are going to do is the digits sum corresponding to this digit. Then we have another number that is the current y. So that's it, right? So you can actually print out this d. Let's use first example to demonstrate the idea. So if you print out D, so you can see corresponding to digit sum, you have 18 and 36. And for 7, you have 34 and 7. Then for each of length greater than 1, you choose the two largest numbers. But here, both digit sum 9 and 7 have a length 2 associated with them. So we just need to have this sum 54 and this is 50. So 54 is what we need to return. So now let's finish all of the following ones. So first, we are going to initialize a result to be -1 according to the problem, right? So return the maximum value that you can append. So here, like there's no, so we are going to return -1. So this is the interpret from the second example, right? Actually, in the main problem statement, it's not stated like that. This should be our return. So notice this initialization from interpreted from example 2, right? So now what we want to do is that we are going to iterate for the values, just right, for v in d values, right? So if the length of v is greater than 1, at least 2 elements, then what do? We sort in place, and then we are going to get to compare the sum of the current state at the current state of the result. So that is v -1 plus v -2, right? So then afterwards, we just return the result state. Notice here, if all the length of the associated values is at most 1, then we are going to have because we didn't enter this if condition, so the result will be -1, inconsistent with example 2. Now let's run it. Yeah, it passes the 2 test cases. Now let's look at the generic case. Yeah, it passes all the cases. So now what we want to do is that because here we can first explain we used while loop to get the digit sum. So here let me write a method get digits sum. So given a number, right, a positive number, so we want to get the digit sum. So this is actually rather straightforward. So you have digits sum. Let me just write a result, maybe very simple. And then basically, while n is greater than 0, then we are going to do a division by 10. So also we want to update the n. So let's do it like this. Dev mode n, the divisor will be 10, right? So then the result will be incremented by the digits. For example, if you have 14, right? So you are going to get 4 first, right? Then n will, first time you get n equals 1 and r equals 4. Then the result will increment by 4. So the result state will be 4, right? And then you do division. And so you get is n divided, n is 1, right? Divided by 10. You are going to get n equals 0 and r equals 1. Then the result will be 5, right? So that's the logic, very simple. So now I just I don't think we need to have this. It's so simple. So now we just return this result. This result will be the digit sum. So here we can do things like this. We can comment out this one. Then we can do digits sum. So we can call this method self get digits sum. So just use this way. So also let's test it. Yeah, it passes the cases. So I guess this is a little bit fast than this conversion. So now, so this is, let's see, very brute force operation in some sense. Option 1. So this is another option. That's option 2. This is the first solution. So now let me term it as version v1. So I want to explain the second one. So for the second one, so what we want to do, so here I'm using sort. But if you look at this code, you are actually we are only interested in the two largest elements. So in this way, we can actually slightly improve this by using heap. So let me do this. So the collections default dict. So I'm going to use a list. But use this list as a heap. And again, the same thing as above. So for y in nums, what I'm going to do is first I get digit sum. Let me use this one. I get this digit sum, and then I'm going to do heap push. I want to push this to the corresponding digit sum. But what I want to push is the negative, right? Let's see. What I want to do, I want to push this one, and let's see. Also, I can so check if the length is greater than 2. So if length, so the digits sum is greater than 2, then I'm going to do heap q heap pop, right? So the digits sum. So in other words, so the heap just gets top key, largest element. So because of this condition, so the heap has length at most 2. So that's it. So now let's do the similar thing as here, right? So for v, let me initialize the result equals -1. Then for v in d still values, right? So then what we want to do is if length v equals 2, right? Because its length is at most 2. So what we do is result equals max result, and then the sum of this v, right? And then we just need to return the result. Again, if no list or heaps have length 2, then we are going to return -1. Let me test this one to see if it works. Yeah, it works. Now let's submit. Yeah, it passes all the cases. So this way actually we maintain at most 2. So this is the one another way. So you can terminate as v2. So here we are using heap to get top key, right? So here key is at most 2. So now this actually we can also without introducing heap, we can just using third one just by comparison. Let me also show you the last one. But before that, let me first print this to give you more information. Let's see. D. Let me use this version. So let's see. Let's use example 1 as a demonstration. But example 1 is very special because it's just have this one. But let me change this. Let's see if I can change it. Test case. So I want to add another one which has name. But let's see. We add 54, right? So then this will be 3 numbers has digit sum none, right? Also I have 34. This have digit sum 7, right? And then we have 116, right? So now let's run it again. Right, you can see for the digit 9, the largest number will be, because we have 3, but the largest one is 36 and 54, the top 2. Similarly for 7, right? So that's the second version. And actually for this problem, if we want to do some comparisons, like in here, we can also carry out the program. Now let me do this. Let me copy this part. So I'm going to term this one as version v2. And here we just use some comparisons without explicitly introducing a heaps. So here we can do this. Let me copy this part. But I just automatically store two elements, lambda. So I map everything to be -1, meaning the two largest ones haven't been set yet. So now I'm going to iterate over the nums. So for y in nums, first we get the digit sum, so the same here. And then we look at the information for the d at the current digit sum. We want to check if the two numbers are set or not. So this is just a sum check. For example, if info equals -1, -1, right? Means nothing has set. So what I'm going to do is going to set info as the first position to be 1, right? Otherwise, if info does not equals to this one, but the second one, it means that the first one is set, but the second one is not set. It means this information. Then we are going to set info 1 equals y. So here I want to put the smaller one in the first place and the larger one in the second place. So basically I want to do this. If info 0 is greater than info 1, then what we do, we just switch them. Info 0, info 1 equals info 1, info 0. So in Python, you can switch the two elements values like this. But if necessary in other languages, you need to introduce a intermediate variable for the transition. So that's the case. Otherwise, it means that all the two positions are already set. So now we have a y. So we want to check if y is less than info 0. So because y is too small, it's out of the two largest one, we don't do anything, right? And then, actually let me write like this. Actually, this is some redundancy. So otherwise, what we do, because you don't need this else because we are using continue here, but let me write like this to demonstrate the logic, right? So in this case, we set info 0 to be y. In other words, we first drop the smallest one, and then we check this one. Still, I want to put the larger one in the back. So because together this is necessary because here, right? Because of this if else block, here we regard the smaller one will be the first one. So you need to look at this if else and if else together. So this way, actually, you adjust this d. But if for safety, you can actually reset this. But this is not necessary. Not necessary, right? But this way, it might be easier for some people to understand the logic. So once I have this, and then again, I'm going to get the final result. So for v in and d values, so we want to make sure all the two positions are set. So which means that if v -1 does not equal to -1, because all the numbers are positive numbers, right? If they are set, they're not going to be -1. And then what we want to do, we want to do result equals max the previous state and the sum of v. Then we can return the result. So that's the third solution, but it's a little bit longer, right? So now, because we have changed this v2, let's do a check. Yeah, it passes the two cases. Again, you can print out this d. So let's see. Right, so here we get the two largest one. So now let's submit. Yeah, it passes all the cases. So I guess that's by now we finished the coding part. Let me give a quick summary. So here we explained the two ways of getting the digit sum. One is by way of string, right, conversion. The other is a simple or while loop. So that's this method, right? And here this option 1. And then from the most natural to slightly tricky, so we explained how to use sort to solve this problem. This is sort of more brute force. And then we used heap to get top 2. And then lastly, we just use comparison without explicitly introducing heaps. So with that said, I hope that you learned something new. Thank you for watching.